Hello, and welcome to The Powers in You. Today, I have a wonderful guest. Her name is Patti Negri. She's a psychic medium, and she calls herself a good witch. She's got a lot of stuff going on. She's on different TV shows, so let's talk to her. Hiya, Patti. How you doing?
I am so fine, Leora. Thank you so much for having me on. Love your show. I love all about empowerment. So two peas in the same pod. So thank you.
You got it. So can you start out by telling us how you evolved to who you are now, the personality that is a spiritual personality?
Yeah, I think I was actually kind of born this way. I as far as like the mediumship, I've been talking to spirits since as I could talk. I just knew that the so-called imaginary friends little kids have weren't imaginary at all. They could give me real information, never scary or never morbid. The good, the bad, the ugly. Did my first seance at 7 or 8, was just, again, obsessed with the dead, but not in a scary way. Just, I need to talk to Marilyn Monroe or John Kennedy or whoever a 7 or 8-year-old knows. So therefore, then I studied it my whole life. What is this? Once I figured out not everybody did this, because I think they can. And so I studied religion, philosophy, cosmologies, science, occult science, metaphysics. I followed my grandfather was this famous psychoanalyst, philosopher, but very academic. He came from Turkey, and he wrote books on religion and philosophy and psychology, but he came from a very complete opposite door, this very atheistic, practically evangelical atheistic perspective. But I read his books now as an adult, and it's like, oh, Grandpa, you just use different words. It's almost the same meaning. So I try to take everything down to energy. That's what it is, and that's where the through line is the same, whether it's your basic Judeo-Christian or traditional religions or New Age or old more shamanic or pagan people. If you look at that truth within it, the words don't matter.
Yeah.
But it's in the blood. It's in the blood. I think both sides. Him, I've got that deep thinker, philosophical look into the meaning of life side. And then from my mom's side, who's that more Irish English, it's the, oh, we just talk to dead people.
Right,
and
right.
have gifts. And my little elemental thing, the witch side is like in the blood from, I don't know what side. I would be in my little suburban backyard as a little kid, just knowing I'm picking rosemary off the bushes and lavender off the bushes and mint, knowing if I stuff them in my mom's wallet, it'll give her more money. The attributes in plants and rocks and things is just innate in me. And
Well,
again, I think early man had these instincts, intuitions, and it's just got so taught out of us in our Western
yeah,
is
our
so
Western
non-mystical.
culture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
culture is so not, even our religion isn't very mystical or spiritual.
right. And you and I did a past life regression,
Oh, and you're the
and
best.
and
Oh my,
in that regression, you were an alchemist. So you come not only from a genetic line, but an incarnational ancestry line, because
yeah.
you went into the house and there were all of these things for alchemy, and then you later on became in that life and you were single. You had a husband or something happened, but then later on you had this storefront where you were doing alchemy, just like what you said. So
Yeah.
this is an ancestral incarnational ancestral line that you have as well.
Yeah,
So
which is
yeah,
great to know. I mean, I figured it, but I mean, the way you guided me through the past life was just beautiful. It's like, oh, wow, of course, this makes sense.
yeah. So you're doing a lot of the same things. Now you've been on
Mhm.
George Noory show, and where you said you flew into Colorado.
Yes. Besides his, everybody knows, not every, but most people know George Noory from Coast to Coast, his all
Right.
night long radio show where he's just the best. He took over for Art Bell. But he also, for those people who have Gaia.com, he's got a TV show called Beyond Belief. So
Right.
we haven't, I don't know when it's going to air, probably next month. We just saw the second episode of that. He's great. The studios are in Colorado. You get to go hang in Boulder. It's really nice.
Yeah, and he started at a spiritual center called the Learning Light Foundation in Anaheim, and that's
Really?
where I kind of started my whole spiritual trek. Right. So yeah, he started a long time ago. Now you're also on your Ghost Hunter or Ghost Ventures.
Ghost Adventures, yes, with Zach Bagans and their boys. Yeah, I'm the girl on the show. Not all the time, but pretty regularly. Yeah, it's that just kind of happened like 6, 7 years, I think 2015. They're in their 24th season. They've been on a dozen years, but it was one of their haunted. They were coming to Hollywood because they travel all over, and they had heard that at the American Legion Hall that I had experienced the ghost of Charlie Chaplin. And so they just brought me in. That first time was just like they do on every episode, bring in the local person who's experienced something. Sometimes they'll bring in the local psychic or medium, but that just took off into a thing. So then, they started calling me in for when they wanted seances, or when they just wanted me to feel out of place. It's great because I never know what I'm getting into. There's so much integrity. They keep me in the dark. I mean, they'll keep me blindfolded if they have to. They'll give me an address. I'll drive to it or fly to it, or they'll pick me up to it. And it's not like, oh, we're going to a place there was a double murder of so-and-so. No, I know nothing. Even when we just did the Cecil Hotel, which is a big 2-hour special that we just did,
Right.
he teased me 2 weeks before. He said, we're coming to LA and I'm going to call you. Okay. 2 hours before he wanted me there. It's like, okay, now, and just gave me an address for downtown LA. And I go, oh, I think this place has a history. And all I remembered was Elisa Lamb, somebody in a water tower, but that's not the stuff I went to. I took them to all these other places that I would, had I known in advance, anybody else more sane people would have looked up, but I don't. I want it to be real and natural, and that's what they want. So I guess that's why they keep calling me. It gives them validation.
Yeah, you're authentic.
Yeah.
So tell me about Charlie Chaplin. Now, when you start feeling that energy in that, tell me all the things about feeling it. Like, can you feel his personality? Can you feel that just particular moment? Or tell me about that.
This was so interesting because I'm actually on the board of the Hollywood Arts Council, which is an arts support organization here in Hollywood. We support all the arts. We actually put arts classes in kids' school when kids get to go to school. And we once a year, as one of our fundraisers, I did a spirit salon where everybody dresses up old Hollywood. My husband's jazz band plays, and then I do little ghost tours, not like big investigations, but little ghost tours. And I was at the thing, and all of a sudden, I literally, you kind of go to that dream state, the energetic thing. And I was setting up, all the guests weren't there yet. And there's Charlie Chaplin. He wasn't dressed like Charlie Chaplin, but I recognize him. He was literally swirling a little drink. And he was so happy to talk to me. I guess when you see somebody just like with you and me, when spirits see, oh, this person has the sight. So he was saying literally like, I'm back. I didn't really know what it meant, but he was so happy to be back. But he was apparently in the war when there was that big communist scare. He was accused of being a communist or a communist supporter, and he was kicked out of the American Legion support. And now he gets to go back. He's not old. So I'm very grateful because again, it's always an adventure.
Right.
It's like,
Tell me more of the sites that you went to, who you would pick up and.
Okay. Well, because it's television, I like happy ghosts. I like good ghosts. I like do my seances, my mediumship. Let's talk to grandma. Let's get all these kind of information. But that doesn't play for television. They're going to go to dark places and.
Okay.
But I mean, still, it's been some. I'm in the Black Dahlia house. Everybody's heard of the Black Dahlia, that first big serial killer. I've done a couple things at that house. Now you walk in and it overwhelms you, the darkness there.
I did a past life regression for a client who said she was the Black Dahlia, and it scared the bejesus out of me. And in this lifetime, she is different. I'll just say that. She's just different. But when she started talking and telling how they did it, and they drained, this is what she told me, that they tied her feet in the house and put her upside down and drained the blood out of her and then placed her. And when she was telling me, you know how you get visualization, and it scared the bedoobies out of me. I mean,
yeah, that play. they did. I think they drained the blood out of her. They cut her in half and put body parts in body parts. And that I felt the torture and what they did. Phew,
Now
yeah.
that's not public, a lot of that.
No, no, it's not public. A lot of it's not public. This grandson, Dr. Hodel, who I know did it. He told me himself he did it in depth. I let channel him. His son was or grandson, I guess, was an LAPD officer for like 50 years, and he's written all this. It's proved that he did it, but it is forever just a closed case. I guess this Dr. Hodel was too connected to politics at the time, and then long dead, but
So
they
when
know
the
he did it.
doctor comes in and tells you, how is he talking and what is he, like what, and so you were picking up not only on the words, but on the energy. So tell me
Yeah.
how they,
Ooh, I started I've done 2 seances there. One was Ghost Adventures, one was another show. And that's why Ghost Adventures have brought me on. I I couldn't get it out. It was like being choked. The oppression, and literally, he definitely didn't like women. Besides whatever weird power trips, it was against
oh,
women, and I couldn't breathe. And he would literally enter my body and leave my body. I'm a low tech girl. I'm an intuitive. I'll maybe have some dowsing rods, but they have all this fancy equipment that in another room where we can't hear, the second like they would come into me, their machine would say entered living, leave living, entered living, and I'd start choking and coughing. It was,
was he trying to do harm to you as well, or no?
I think he just wanted to control me. That was his way of being. He was a
Ah,
control freak. I think he kind of got off. He kind of liked me, stepping into somebody else where there's however many people around paying attention to him, what would be better. Mm.
wow, 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 wow. Tell me some other experiences that you had or other places.
Okay. I think what is to me the biggest warning about heavy addiction and bad drugs is that any place that I go that are the darkest energies are places that have had serious drug issues, serious addiction issues. Not just somebody who smokes a little marijuana or this or that, but it brings in this darkness that's hard to get rid of. And that's just in a bit consistent since I clear houses all the time. Since I do that, that's the thing that whatever you guys choose to do, not judgmental on your life, but that's when you're going to open dark doors. That's
What was the film about where the priest comes and she turns her head?
Exorcist, The
Yeah,
Exorcist.
but there was Exorcist 3 or something where the detective goes into the mental hospital and you see the old woman crawling on the ceiling. And when people are on heavy medication, you're absolutely right, and doing, recreational drugs, that's when low vibration energies can come in. So if you have someone who you're related to that lives with you or something, you're gonna, be burning sage on a constant basis, right?
Yeah, lots of protection methods.
What do you
Yeah,
use? What do you use for protection?
I'm not the world's biggest sage user unless you use something else, because in my experience, sage is really strong. It is really harsh. It gets rid of everything, but it also gets rid of the good. If you put all this love in your house and this and like, oh, it's all ready for happiness, spirit, love, and you sage, it's like Mr. Clean. It wipes it.
Yeah.
And if you don't refill it, if you just leave it like that, so many people, I saged my house and then it felt good, but then it went away. It almost creates a vacuum. It's so clearing. So it's like dusting your house and then leaving the doors and windows open in a dust storm. So sage it, go counterclockwise. I prefer Palo Santo because it gets rid of the bad, but not the good. But if you do want sage, or if you're whatever, counterclockwise, clear. But then whatever you do, fill it back up. Go clockwise with a sweet incense, frankincense, myrrh, something so holy, sandalwood, bringing light. Who's allowed in your front door? People invited in, people with good intent. What comes in the window? Fresh air, inspiration, this. What do you want in your bedroom? Great intimacy, fill it back up with what you want. Love, health, abundance. And it gets so full that the bad stuff doesn't have room to come back.
So you do a lot of intention.
A lot of intention. with herbs and oils and sounds. And
You're an alchemist. You
I
are an
am now.
alchemist. I love
I
that.
I show up. It is pretty funny because I can the places I go. I sign a lot of non-disclosure because I'll be in the biggest house in LA or whoever, but I look like kind of crazy Mary Poppins. I show up with 2 monster wicker baskets filled with herbs and oils and drums and a great big broom. I mean, I'm cleaning the house. I got a broom. I've got my witch's bathroom. So it's an interesting side. I've walked through like areas and people like, who's going over to the Joneses house? Ah.
Yeah. I had a friend who was an alchemist, and I would go over to her shop, and I was channeling Merlin, and we went down underneath, and he was telling me to tell her, he was showing me what to put in. And I just repeated some things I didn't even know what they were, but she knew. And she created this oil that was super powerful. But yeah, so you could channel Merlin if you wanted to.
I could. I never have. I should do that sometime.
You should
and
do
see
that because you are an alchemist and he was an alchemist. And so, yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be amazing because I do channel when I do a lot of my ritual and spell work. I am channeling. I am just bringing in, whether it's from the whole consciousness of it, along with the herbs and oils and intention I'm using. So yeah, I haven't ever gone right to a Merlin per se.
Right. And what do you think about, like nowadays we have a lot of, like, you'll see on TikTok and you'll see on Instagram a lot of good witches, and they'll tell you spells and stuff. What do you think about all of that?
What I think is there's a lot of that, they're babies. They don't know what they're doing, but the more good than bad in the fact that, again, allowing people to not just take status quo, this is good or this is bad. It's allowing people to know you can change your fate. You can shift. That's what a shaman does. That's what a witch does. That's what a healer does. It's like naturally things run downhill. Everything takes the easiest path. Water goes to gravity. And to take charge of your life, whether you're looking at it in New Age, I'm taking charge, or I'm shifting fate. That's what the movement into more shamanic or witchcraft is good. A lot of them are babies. And as soon as you hear anything it has to be done like this, like, no, nothing has to be anything. There's lots of ways to get to my house, to your house. Who's saying one's better than the other? But again, all the positive side of it is showing, that again, it's empowering versus not. Now there's a bunch of bad ones out there too, the ones that are control based and fear based. And, a lot of the old school, psychic palm reader on the corner are the ones, sadly, that, if it gets in somebody's like, oh, you have a curse. No, you don't. Oh, you haven't. No, you don't. You need more money for this, run really fast. Anything, who wants to control you, who wants to be anger or fear-based, run. Nothing has to be that. Nothing.
Now, you and I had a discussion about not, because I asked you, I said, did you ever feel this? And you said, I can shut it off and I can shut it on. So can you feel an energy if somebody is sending you like negative energy? Can you feel that?
Yes, I can. And again, I'm a big believer in an on-off switch. It's like I'm going to the grocery store. I don't want to talk to your dead mom. I want to look for groceries. And
right.
Of course I can feel when things people are sending us bad energy, because there's so much out there now, whether they're like that vampiric, not in the good sense of the word, like drawing your energy or things. I use a lot of mirror energy for that. It's even in my book. Surround yourself with, I first run light through me, because you want to be, if you're going to put a little mirror egg around yourself, I run light through my body. And then I just picture this beautiful mirrored egg that nothing bad can get in, nothing bad energy, purposely or not purposely sent. It just bounces right off. And being a mirror versus being cement or titanium, whoever's throwing it, especially if they're throwing it on purpose, are going to see how ugly they look doing that. And it's going to bounce back and kind of sting them, not hurt them. And then they're going to kind of see through it and see it didn't affect me at all. So they won't even get a payback for it. They won't even get a payback. I could sit there. I don't have to send them anything back. I just sit there saying love, love, love. And it's good.
Right.
Anybody can do it. You don't have to be, you could practice once we can go public again. You could practice in a elevator or some crowded thing at a concert when people aren't sending you bad energy. We're all in an elevator. run the light, I snap, got the thing. Literally, if you're in an elevator, people will they'll smile at you and step back. They're seeing that mirror and they're just kind of smiling at their own reflection and stepping back. And if they can't step back, if you really are sardined in, then all of a sudden your personal space isn't being invaded no matter what. It's great. It's just, everything is energy. Nothing's solid. We know this, 6th grade science. Nothing is solid. It's all moving atoms. The energy world, the spirit world is just as real and just as solid. So if you want to put a titanium or a mirror or whatever, it's just as real as having a mirror.
Right. And you brought up your book. So can you hold your book up and show us?
I can. Okay.
I'm excited about this book.
Yes, I've got to get you one. I'm getting you one.
Yep, put it a little bit closer to the camera. Oh, there we go.
Wait, I'm trying to avoid the light. Oh, it's Old World Magic for the Old World Magic for the Modern World, tips, tricks, and techniques to create and empower and create a life you love. It's super simple. I spent literally more time unwriting it than writing it to make it that anybody could pick it up and go. And
so tell us a little bit about, read some of the chapters. So,
okay, I go in. Well, first I tell them my story, how we could do anything, because I was a victim for a long time. My mom had taken a drug they gave to pregnant women, which gave me severe health. I was menopausal at 15. Never had a period. By the time I did all the autoimmune disease. I go, does she have lupus? We don't know, fibromyalgia. By the time I was 30, I had been such a victim for 15 years. The doctor said, literally, I have a tumor in my brain pushing on my apophysis. I have 5 fractures in my back from having the bones of an 80-year-old at 16. And if I even made it to 50, which I probably wouldn't make it to 50, I'd be in a wheelchair if I did. And I just kind of went, no, I'm not going to buy into this anymore. I will take what medicines that you need. And no, every symptom went away. You don't have to carry Medrol dose packs. You don't have to, everything went away. So at 50, instead of being dead or in a wheelchair, I literally tried out and beat 70,000 people to be on the world's biggest obstacle course. I wipe out those big red balls on that TV show. I did that. And I just we are powerful
You did
beings. I did that. I've done Wipeout.
What was the name of that show?
Wipeout.
Wipeout. Oh my God. How was that? They're
redoing it. Is the hardest, scariest, coldest, most painful and empowering thing I ever did. Wow. I did. With the first thing they tell you, they go, if your mom ever told you weren't special, though my mom did, they go, you are, because you beat 100,000 people to get here, period. Because you go through auditions and physicals and psychology testing and all that. But just coincidentally, one of the hosts of it was my neighbor, and the night before, he didn't know anything about me trying to get on this show, is my little thing. And so the night before, he called me just coincidentally, and I'd be like, oh, John, I'm going to see you tomorrow. John Henson. He goes, what? I go, I'm going to be on the set. I'm going to be on Wipeout. He's like, what? I go, yeah. Any hints, any tips? He's like, yeah, don't do it. I'm like, what? He goes, are you crazy? I'm like, oh, no, let's talk. I'll see you. Don't. But when you get there, and then I got there, it was practically sleet for Los Angeles, sideways rain, freezing, January. And you look and it's 50-foot drops into ice water and things that punch you in the face. And I'm like, oh, what did I doing? Oh yeah, I'm afraid of heights. Oh my God, what am I? It took every bit of talk about intention that I had to not jump in my car and drive away. Actually, a couple of people did when they see that, but I did it. And I didn't get close to winning. I didn't have the speed, but I made it to the big target at the end. And again, most empowering, amazing thing. And again, I use magic. You know what? You're amazing. You're a little ball of fire and everything, but you're super, just your energy is amazing. And I love it. I knew the first time I talked to you. So I want to thank you for being here, and you're a joy, and I can't wait to spread all of your knowledge to my listeners. So thank you, Patti, for your beautiful energy today. And thank you for what you do, for the same thing for the community. People are going to hear you that don't hear me. We need to all be out there. And like you said, together, working together, not you against me. Yeah, I just got total body chills. Me too. So thank you. Thank you for what you do. All right, my dear. Love you. Love you. Bye.